The Hard Narc Life, Episode 1, The Stone Age. So, growing up, right, I had always been like that outcasted kid, you know? And not necessarily in the sense that people looked down on me or called me weird. I was usually one of the normal ones in that sense. But it was more, I felt outcasted. I felt like I was treated different. And that really just stuck with me my whole life. And it's been really hard to get out of that. And a big effect that I think that had on me is my inability to interact with people in a calm way, because I had already been on the defensive since day one, pretty much. And a lot of that stems from my parents' divorce. And really what I mean to say by that is I can hardly even remember that happening to me. It has just always been the vibe, you know? It's just what I've been through, what I've lived. I hardly remember any point when they were together, right? So that meant that my first idea of a true relationship was between my mom and dad, who every time they saw each other could not hold a conversation to save their lives without arguing or yelling or cursing at each other. And that's really where I believe my methods came from in terms of conversation. My initial reactions to things is to be oppositional, to say the least. And as a kid, the only other people in my life were my grandparents, really, my nana and my tata. And obviously I had my sister and my older cousin, and we really grew up like siblings, right? And me being the only boy my whole life, it was like an experience that I would not want anyone else to have, because it was them two and then it was me. I'm not sure if that makes any sense at all, but I was very much so the only boy, and they were very much so the grandkids. And the only one who didn't treat me like that was my tata, who unfortunately passed away. But that's like where my main role model was during my early stages, and I didn't even get to see him as often as I saw the bad things, the bad relationships. So growing up, I had a hard start, really, in terms of my feelings towards myself and my feelings towards others. But everything else was like, I was blessed, you know. I had a roof over my head, I had food to eat, you know, clothes to wear, I got to go to school. And it was just like everything was going right for me, except for how I was treated, or how I felt I was treated, at least. And a big part of this came when I got to school and I started doing well in school. And my sister, she's like my dad, where she has to work really hard to do really good. And I've never had that experience. I've always had it come easy to me. And that led to me being ashamed of my abilities and not really being able to be proud of myself. And I think I still struggle with that to this day, where a lot of times when I'm actually proud of myself, I don't really say that as much as I should. And that leads me to celebrating the smallest of things as if they're the greatest achievements. And that, I believe, is what leads people to believe that I'm very narcissistic, because those little things happen a lot, right? So I celebrate things that don't really matter because I feel like I'm allowed to. And things that do matter, I feel like I'm not allowed to. So it really comes off as, cocky and, narcissistic when I just have these outbursts of, oh my God, I did that. That's crazy. I'm amazing, right? So I give myself a pat on the back when I shouldn't, and I don't when I should. And that's essentially how all of elementary school went. It was just me comparing myself to my sister, who had to work really hard, me comparing myself to her and my cousin, who I felt got all the special treatment and I got none of it. Me doing really well in school easily, having nowhere to, focus my energy, so I'm always getting in trouble in school. And I think a lot of that just came from a lack of understanding of how the world really works and how relationships are meant to be made. So, to sum things up, a day in the Narc's life as an elementary school kid, it's fun from an outside perspective, but looking inward, introspectively, it was tough.